is the Kate Daly Show.
Yippee-I-O, yippee-I-A, Ghost Riders in the sky.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Daly Show. I told you it was going to be a packed show today. All right. I have a great guest. Jim Lee is joining me, and so grateful to him for jumping on the show on our Friday show. And this has been a huge week, a week of the media not reporting what they should be reporting, obviously, but that's what they always do. And they're just full of lies. And then, or just the concentration on just not what's going on. And Jim, I cannot wait to talk to you about this hurricane. Now, the websites are climateviewer.com and weathermodificationhistory.com. And you can go there for more info for sure. But Jim, welcome to the program. How are you?
Pretty good, Kate. It's been a while since we've talked,
I
and I
know.
appreciate you inviting me.
You betcha. All right. I got to get your thoughts on this. This is right up your alley. We've been talking a lot. Dane Wigington even came out and said, I'm seeing lasers directing this thing. So I can't wait to get your take.
So, first off, we'll qualify everything we're about to say.
Okay.
Hurricane modification has a long history, starting in 1947 with Project Cirrus, in the 1970s with Project Storm Fury. I'm skipping over some things for brevity.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2008, there was a Department of Homeland Security hurricane modification workshop held by the department, by the DHS. And that was followed up by two programs, one by NASA and one done by the DHS, the Hurricane Aerosol Microphysics Program, HAMP, and the NASA Genesis and Rapid Intensification Program, GRIP. And there was also HERMIT, which stands for Hurricane Mitigation. And these were the 2008 DHS push was because they saw Hurricane Katrina as a national security threat, and they wanted to be able to either mitigate or steer away hurricanes. It is no coincidence that for the next 10 years, there were no major Category 4 or 5 hurricanes that made landfall. They called it the hurricane drought. And Trump came into office, and magically 3 hurricanes hit all the rednecks that voted for him.
Wow.
So that's the first coincidence. So there is a long history of hurricane modification attempts.
Mm.
Now, the state of the art on this is not NEXRAD radars. NEXRAD radars have a 750,000 watt pulse with about a 1,300 watt average power.
Okay.
And the people that are pointing this out, they're clickbaiting, they're distracting. There's no other way to put it. It is fear, PRN.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that. And I can accentuate this by the fact that in Eglin Air Force Base on the panhandle of Florida is the ANFBS 85, which is a 32 million watt missile defense radar. So if the 32 million watt radar can't steer a hurricane or control the weather, or nobody ever talks about that, why do we focus on these NEXRADs? Why? Because they make money. We all understand how clickbait works. So we got to ask ourselves what really happened and how did it happen? Why? And what are they not telling us? What they're not telling us is that it never was a Category 4 hurricane.
Mm.
This is the biggest lie that's been told throughout this entire thing.
Okay.
Jeff is a meteorologist friend of mine. He's in my Telegram group, t.me/Climate Viewer Chat. For anybody who wants to come meet Jeff, say hello.
Mm-hmm.
So Climate Viewer Chat on Telegram. And Jeff and Stella, she's a lady from Australia. Both of them are admins in my Telegram group. They got together and made a video last night.
Okay.
And Jeff broke down every single bit of weather data that, no meteorologist will be able to contradict what he's showing.
Okay.
And the gusts before it made landfall, the highest gusts were around 80-something knots, and the sustained winds were around something like 50 knots.
Mm-hmm.
That means it was a tropical storm. It never even made it to a Category 1. He went through every weather station every airport weather station, they're called anemometers. That's what measures the wind. And he's looking at the raw data directly from all of them, and none of them confirm anything that the mainstream media is saying.
Whoa.
So why lie about it?
Whoa.
Probably the lie is to gin up this whole idea that climate change is making hurricanes more severe, right?
You're right. Oh my
So
gosh.
it never made it to category 4. It didn't even make it to category 1. So for the rest of this conversation, we're going to call it tropical storm, Helene,
Okay.
despite what
Storm.
they're saying.
Whoa. Oh
So
my gosh. Tell me more.
What really happened? And people want to, they speculate on how you control a hurricane. Historically, you would do this by dumping chemicals into the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
In 1976, William Gray came up with this great idea of carbon dust absorption of solar radiation. The idea of dumping carbon black, which is a manufactured, almost elemental carbon. It's almost 100% elemental carbon. It's very black material into the hurricane, and that would absorb heat from the sun, which could change what are called cold pools in a tropical storm or hurricane, and therefore either dissipate them, intensify them, or change their trajectory, their path. That was reiterated in 2008 at the Department of Homeland Security Hurricane Modification Workshop, where Mosh Alamaro from MIT University said, "Why don't we steer hurricanes using carbon black dust?" This is not a coincidence. I also have 2 Freedom of Information Act requests, one's from the Air Force, one's from the Navy in 1994. Both of them said weather modification using carbon black dust. In 1997, Arnold A. Barnes Jr. from the Air Force Phillips Lab, Hanscom Air Force Base, at the Weather Modification Test Technology Symposium 97 said weather modification using carbon black. So from owning the weather in 2025, carbon black dust to be used by the military by 2005, Katrina, all the coincidences keep lining up. So when you look at what actually steered this tropical storm Helene to the west, what made it go over the Appalachian Mountains, and why does this matter? Off the east coast of North Carolina was a high-pressure ridge, a high-pressure dome. And there was a low-pressure region to the west of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, these large synoptic systems, these large weather patterns, they're going to follow the path of least resistance. They're not going to push into a high-pressure region. They're going to go towards a low-pressure region. Okay. So as the tropical storm moved up to North Carolina and then veered very rapidly towards the west, that was because of the high-pressure region, which pushed it that way. When it did that, because of something called orographic lift, that's why we had such large flooding. All of the rain was squeezed out of the hurricane at tropical storm as it started to pass over the mountains. You can confirm this by going to the COCO-ROS, which is like a collaborative network of citizens who measure rainfall totals. And on the east side of the Appalachian Mountains, you see these 8, 10, 15 inches of rain. And on the west side of the Appalachian Mountains, you see almost nothing. 2, maybe 3 inches. So because of orographic lift, as the air rises, it quickly cools and condenses and then falls out as rain. So was this by design? That's the main question that everybody wants to ask.
We're going to go to break. Let's come back and answer it.
All right.
Yeah? Okay. Let's do it, because I want to get your take on that. Wow. You bring such a terrific perspective to all of this. So we're going to come right back. Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com. I'm with Jim Lee. You got to hear more. Just park the car. Park the car. You got to hear this. ClimateViewer.com and WeatherModificationHistory.com. ClimateViewer.com and on Telegram. Be right back. You're blowing my mind.